Greetings, Batprince here, and today we are playing Dagon. Dagon! From the depths of relay. Eldritch horrors. Let's just start. Dagon is a faithful interactive adaptation of the H.P. Lovecraft. Okay, we're all good.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Okay. During the game, you'll encounter interactive elements. Some of the trivia is hidden. You have to find these secrets. You have to focus your eyes and look for the Elder sign. Okay. Like that? Aha! We found the first of them. That's fine. What's this about?
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Okay.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Or death. Morphine.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Lovecraft and the Great War. Dagon was written about a month after the United States entered World War I. Lovecraft was actively interested in its cause. Okay, we're not going to read all those things. We're just going to collect them. There's the boat, though.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Just be careful of all those deep ones. The Huns. Alright then. Fight, please.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Okay.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Oh no, there's things in the water.
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Oh dear. Where's the thing I have to click on? Oh. It's the sun.
The weather
Praise it.
kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Drink that water.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness
Oh,
of blue.
so thirsty.
The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know,
Turning into a fish person?
for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Oh dear. Ew, Cthulhu monsters. Yuck. Gross. Giant squids. Trilobites and Amorites. I meant to click on a trilobite. Maybe not that one.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
Yuck. Tentacles.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery,
No,
I was in reality more horrified
stinks.
than astonished. For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core.
Yuck.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
Ew.
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity.
Yuck.
There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the
There it is.
stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
You fish heads. Get to the boat. Careful of the icky, squishy, squiddy thingies.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
What's that?
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Well, then you know what they say about dead things. You really shouldn't be playing with them. Don't touch that fish. Oh man, he touched the fish.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Careful of those tentacles. Do I have to move now or? Oh, gotta take the pack.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an
Couldn't deal with that.
set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Can't stand the smell of fishes. Alright. Off we go.
All day I
Whoa.
forged steadily westward,
Yeah.
guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling
is it?
desert.
Keep going. Dude, don't stop to look at the whales or the giant crabs or the tentacles. Just keep walking. Ugh,
That
Sickening.
night, I encamped, and on the
Sandworms.
following day still travelled toward the hummock.
Gosh
though that
damn
object seemed
sandworms.
scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Horrors of the ocean. Cthulhu.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
Now you gotta walk up it, buddy.
Intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain.
Gibbous, is that a real word or one of those ones that they did for Jabberwocky?
I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day.
Why is that?
Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
Well, you weren't to know.
I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Don't forget to pick up your pack. There's also that. Secrets.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
Ew.
I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
It's cold down there in hell.
As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Okay.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Down we go then.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me.
What is it?
An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Should I hit it with a bone? Go have a look.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
It's got straight edges.
A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express. For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Alright, let's go have a look.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm. revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Up to the sculpture.
A system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
You're kidding?
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like.
Yeah, there's a conch shell, a box jellyfish, an ammonite, nurse shark, crab, starfish, great white, seahorse, turtle, hammerhead, and in the middle, a cthulhu.
Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
It's Cthulhu.
Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré.
That's a doré.
These things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men.
Fishmen.
Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail,
Aww.
for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seemed to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Oh, these things are ginormous, like Dagon.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe
Imaginary,
whose
huh?
descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
What about Lindo Man? We want him back.
Struck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist. I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
What? Where? There it is.
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Oh dear. That's not sliding.
It darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Okay.
I think I went mad then.
Just a little bit. Just gone a little bit mad. It's okay.
Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Did it rain all the ocean back? Is that what's happening now? It seems wet everywhere. And it's raining.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
Why would you sing? Okay, maybe you did go a little bit mad.
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
It's raining hard. It's gonna fill up the whole ocean.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital. Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe. Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding
Oh no, I missed some!
of Dagon, the fish god.
Do I have to get them all in one go? Can I go back for some? Oh my god, they've been one per scene every other one. Now it's gonna do more than one. Alright, I'll have to go back and do it all again. But I'll finish the game first and then do it. I wonder if I can skip vocals. Probably can.
But soon
Yeah, I can. Alright, it shouldn't be that hard to hurry up and do it. Check this one. Do. Huh. Hiding things there.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
And don't forget the one on the wall. Elder sign. Alright. Time to die, I suppose. Poor sad man.
I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm.
Maybe.
A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat.
Could have been.
I escaped from the German man of war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed.
Ew, don't talk about fish that way, it's gross.
Ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Oh no! No fish people. Stop. You maniacs! You blew it up!
The end is near.
Damn you all to heck. Ew.
hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Hello?
It shall not find me.
Oh, but it did.
God, that hand!
It's webbed and icky.
The window! The window!
He gone. Now. Let's. So the trivia is we can see that we're missing a couple, yeah? Yeah. Alright, so if I click start again. Wait, back. What's continue?
I hear a noise.
Oh, yeah. We don't want to do that. Save and exit. Start a new game. Hopefully the new game counts towards the trivia, because I'm only going for the ones I missed. Yeah, that's fine.
I am.
Do. Quick as we can now.
The Great War was then at its.
Oop, that's not what I meant to do. Hurry up now. Grab your knapsack.
When I...
Yuck.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less. There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight.
Be quiet. I'm trying to be quickie. Come on, be quickie. Yeah, it's squishy and yuck and it smells of dead fishies.
As I crawled.
So, what was it, 26?
Volcanic upheaval. A portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which in
fish.
For
Onward! Onward! Onward. Onward more.
Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
Get up that mountain. Come on! I want to see the other side of the mountain.
Into a fathomless chaos.
Go jump into the river.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly
Get up there to the obelisk. Be hurry about it. Quickly. Oof. Come on, approach it.
Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to, but plainly visible across the
Unknown to you, maybe.
on account of their enormous size. Though the creatures were shown disporting like grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bull.
That's just rude. They're people too, just because they look a little bit different.
Killing a whale represented as or
We're nearly there, nearly waking up in our hospital bed. And we can find the others.
loathsome. It darted like
Come on,
I think I went mad.
did you? Well, we're all mad here, right?
I have
Night, night. All right, we made it.
when I came out brought in my delirium. I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of nor
Right. So the first one was here under the cross, but then there were two more in here. There's one on the painting, and there's one here. The Eldritch biographer. So is that it? There we go. 100%. 100% done. You idiot. It suddenly decided to put more than one in a scene, and I wasn't paying attention. Well, that's enough Eldritch horrors for my brain. I'll be having nightmares from eons gone by. Death may die, something, I don't know. I'll see you kitty sometime later. Nighty night.